What is going on, everybody? It's the front, and we're here for AEW on TNT review for your September the 16th, 2020. We are on our way to the anniversary show, which happens in about 1 month, with Lance Archer taking on Jon Moxley. But before then, we had ourselves an NWA Women's World Championship match. Kazarian and Hangman Page giving you one hell of a singles match in the main event of a parking lot brawl between the Best Friends and Santana and Ortiz, and so much more. And we start the show off with usually what we've seen, a tag team match with Jurassic Express taking on FTR. Of course, FTR had their celebration last week, made fun of Billy Gunn, Jurassic Express, other tag teams. Jurassic Express did not take too kindly to this, and they wanted a match. FTR says, you know what, we'll give you a match, but it's not for the tag team titles. You have to earn that. So if you so happen to beat us the next week, we'll put the titles on the line, no problem. This was a really good match. FTR bringing back classic wrestling, tag team wrestling, holding the smallest guy in the ring, like beating him down. Smallest guy like Jungle Boy getting the heat. Luchasaurus getting in when he needs to. Both teams going out there showing you why tag team wrestling is what it is in AEW. So, the match, Hardwood tries for a suplex towards the end of this match. Countered by Jungle Boy, cover 2. Hardwood quickly plants him back to the mat. Which, by the way, Jungle Boy in this match they made him look as good as they can Dax and Cash Wheeler did. Because they went out there and they let this guy just show off what he can do, and of course, all those so close tag team, finishes for the match with a kick out at like 2 3/4. Jungle Boy just looking like he is just one step away from beating these guys and earning his team a tag team title match. But of course, that did not happen. Jungle Boy with an inside cradle 2 count, Luchasaurus with a dive at Wheeler on the floor, but ends up into the crowd again in back-to-back weeks, which that spot's going to get overused way too much. It was fine week 1, but to have him do it again and again and again, just let's not do that. Please not have him do that. Jungle Boy with the suicide dive on Wheeler. Jungle Boy on the apron rolls into a pin for 2. Dax reverses the pin of its own by himself. Wheeler and Tully both hold Jungle Boy's leg down. Referee cannot see it because he's behind, but in the back is behind them because he has to make sure Jungle Boy's shoulders are down. 1, 2, 3, and they win the tag team champion. They win the match. FTR wins. They celebrate, and then that was that. Heck of a match between these two teams. Jungle Boy is gonna be one of those guys that they're going to push. Like, right now, he's like hot, cold, because they don't have anything for him, but they're saving him for... Honestly, I think they're saving a Jungle Boy push for when we get back to full crowd capacity, because this dude is somebody that's going to get over with the crowd no matter what. Then we go and say something, they tell us something is happening backstage, and we go to Alex Marvez. I wish he would have taken a week off to sell the super kick, but whatever. And Alex Marvez goes back, and we hear Matt Hardy writhing in pain. He's holding his knee. The doctor is checking on him. Private Party's around. I think it was Mark Quinn. Isaiah Cassidy was asked by Marvez what's happening and said they were going over strategy, and then he turns around and he was attacked. Jake Hager and Chris Jericho with his back come in. They're like, oh, Matt, are you okay? And Jericho laughs and says, looks like Hardy isn't the luckiest guy in wrestling this week, and tells Private Party he'll see them later tonight. So, obviously, Jericho attacked Matt Hardy. Of course, he'll deny this. This is Chris Jericho. But it was a way to, I guess, keep Matt Hardy out of the area. And then we go to our next match, Hangman Page versus Frankie Kazarian. I could not do this match any justice. Kenny Omega was on commentary for this. Still sticking to his guns, saying, hey, listen, I am done tag team wrestling. If we are booked in a match for a rematch for the tag team titles, then so be it. But I don't want to be a tag team wrestler anymore. I want to go my own way. Hangman Page needs to go his own way. And we had this match between him and Frankie Kazarian. Hangman and Frankie Kazarian went out there and whipped each other's asses. This match went at least, it felt like 25 to 30 minutes. I know it's only a 20-minute time limit, but it definitely went 15 minutes at the most. But it didn't drag. It didn't mean like it dragged badly. It was a great match. These guys went out there and showed you that, yes, Kazarian and Hangman Page have been in tag team wrestling since the start of AEW, pretty much. But Kazarian is a hell of a singles wrestler, and so is Hangman Page. So, and they also mentioned how heat and humidity they are in Jacksonville, Florida. It is still summer. I don't know. I've never been to Florida, so I don't know how hot and humid it is. But getting towards the end of this match, you could definitely tell Hangman Adam Page and Kazarian were both gassed and just needed this match to end ASAP. Kazarian sends Page to the apron. They slingshot, then slingshots him in right back in for the cutter. Pin attempt only gets a 2 count. Kazarian looks for a springboard Hurricane Rana. Caught with a sit-out powerbomb, cover 2. Back and forth action, but out on the floor. Page goes back on the apron. Kazarian looks for the leg drop. Page ducks it, kicks him away. Buckshot Lariat, 1, 2, 3. Hangman Adam Page wins a hell of a match, a hard-fought match that was honestly the match of the night. This was your match of the night, and we were only not even half an hour into the show yet. Post-match, Cunny's legs like, listen, thank you guys for having me, but I'm out of here. Page is looking over at the table to see Omega is gone. He's looking to see if this guy, where'd he go? I thought he was going to come celebrate. They mentioned how it's like, I figured he was going to go celebrate with his boy, but no, he left. And Hangman grabs a beer, and he goes to enjoy his beer, and we move on from that. So, we get a history, we recap history of the Santana Ortiz versus Best Friends feud, and then we go to MJF versus Shawn Dean. They go for a handshake. MJF with a poke to the eye, goes right into the Future armbar. He taps out. MJF had a match, and it's gone. So, he holds on to it for a minute. Wardlow tosses Dean out to the ring and grabs the mic. MJF says, if there's one thing we can agree on is that he is an honest man. Unlike Dictator John is the guy people cheer for, but he cheated in their match. He continues that he should be undefeated in the current champion. We get a huge "you're a loser" chant from the crowd. MJF says he wants to be referred to as of this moment as the undefeated, undisputed, uncrowned world champion of AEW. He tells Justin Roberts to announce him as such right now, and Roberts says it in a most monotone voice, the undefeated, undisputed, uncrowned. He's like, Justin, you moron! You're going to put some gusto into that right now, or Wardlow's going to pay you a visit. So he gives him his normal introduction. Andrea says he always been a lone wolf, but maybe he should be in a stable because that seems to be the only way to get things done around here. And AEW, yes, does have a little bit of a stable problem with the Inner Circle, with the Dark Order, the Eddie Kingston faction, or whatever the fuck you want to call that. They say it's a family. Yeah, so he says he's a lone wolf, but maybe he needs to find himself a wolf pack. Ow, ow, he says. He says he's always been a lone wolf, but maybe it's time he finally joined a wolf pack. Whether he joins someone or not, whether he goes or comes or goes or whatever, he's still better than you, and you know it. Mic drop. That was that. Then we get another one of these long, boring breakdown things that Taz does, which I see no benefit in seeing. And then we go back to the ring, and Eddie Kingston with Penta, Phoenix, Butcher, and The Blade has 3 points to make. One is that he never lost the Casino Battle Royal. Look up the rules. And I said it that night. He did not get beat. He did not go over the top rope. He was not eliminated, but hey. Seems like they're not going anywhere with that unless somehow between now and the anniversary show we get that match between him and Lance Archer. With Lance Archer, of course, beating him and going on to face Jon Moxley, which would not be... I wouldn't mind that. Eddie Kingston takes a beating and we go from there. His group is a family. They are not a faction. They are a family of violence. Usually when you have a family, when brothers and sisters fight, they go get a beer, they go have dinner. That's not us. We fight. We beat people up. Butcher, Blade, find us some victims. So Butcher and Blade grab Griff Garrison, the guy with the blue hair or green hair from Dark last night, and I can't remember who the other guy they grabbed. So they get the hell beat out of him. He says since they got this thing in order, he tells Blade he needs to get his house in order. And then that was that. And Butcher of the Blade nods his head, yeah, of course I do. Which of course tells you that QT Marshall and the Natural Nightmares are going to be absolutely destroyed by the Butcher and the Blade. Ali, and I still want to know why. That is something they never told us. Why did Ali split from the Butcher and the Blade and start courting QT Marshall? Even fucking Excalibur on commentary a couple times has tried to ask her, what's her status with the Blade? They never, it's like they just want to pretend like Ali was never with the Butcher and the Blade, she was never married to the Blade or anything. Now with that being said, I don't know when the Natural Nightmares are going to have another match, but I have a feeling the Butcher and the Blade are not going to be too far behind, and they're going to go from there, and maybe QT Marshall gets beat up and taken off of TV for a while. Who knows? So, Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus Private Party. Hager and Quinn get things going. Quinn avoids Hager tags and Cassidy, and they land a shot on Hager. This was an okay match here. Nice long match here. Neckbreaker double stomp combo on Jericho. Cassidy slows to capitalize, which he hurt his back early in the match. And even JR was like, when Mark Quinn tagged Isaiah Cassidy back in, this probably isn't a smart idea because the dude is hurt. Hager runs in and mistakenly hits Jericho. Cassidy with a Hurricane Runner on Jericho. Quinn with a clothesline on Hager. Both go out to the floor. Cassidy finally gets the cover on Jericho. 2 count. Cassidy with a bunch of forearms. Jericho tries with the Judas effect. Misses. Cassidy with a springboard cutter 2. Then he goes up top for a senton. Pool is empty. Jericho up. Hits the Judas effect. 1, 2, 3. And that was that. After the match, Jericho's beating up Cassidy. Mark Quinn, he puts him in the walls of Jericho. Mark Quinn gets in, hits the Pele kick, which AJ Styles still does one better, but it was still not a bad Pele. Hager pulls Jericho to safety, and the look on Mark Quinn's face of like just anger, and he's just that look of anger and pissed. He was just so pissed off. Was really interesting to see what they're doing with Mark Quinn. Please don't tell me this is going to lead to them breaking up. Just saying. So, next Tuesday, on TNT, we have an NBA playoff game in the East. I don't know what finals they have. One of either the East or Western Conference Finals will be on, it's probably on TNT. It's probably going to be the Western Conference Finals. But that's probably going to be like Game 2 or Game 3 on Tuesday. And when that game's over, after every NBA game on TNT, they have Inside the NBA. When that is over, we are getting a late night edition of AEW. It's going to be 1 hour. Scorpio Sky will take on Ben Carter. Anna Jay will be taking on Brandy Rhodes. Matt Sydal will be taking on Sean Spears with Tully Blanchard. And Chris Jericho will be on commentary. That is all going to be happening next Tuesday. Now, I will not be doing a separate review of that. That will be added into next week's episode. We will have a special 3-hour review of AEW next Wednesday. Can't wait for that. Then the match I was looking forward to all night. Thunder Rosa will be putting her NWA Women's World Championship on the line versus Ivelisse. And if I want to say this was the best match of the night, I'd be lying to you. This was a pretty good match. Ivelisse went out there. She did what she could. And honestly, in my opinion, I think the match could have went another 5-10 minutes. But it didn't. Rosa with a gory special Diamante on the apron for the distraction. Ivelisse rolls out, knee straight cover 2. Thunder Rosa rolls out to the floor, back and forth action. Rosa with a dragon screw leg whip. Sheeta looks on from the crowd. Rosa with another hard dropkick, cover 2 count. Ivelisse comes back with the Tiger Driver pin 2 count. Death Valley Driver by Rosa, cover 2. Ivelisse with a big kick to the face. That they mentioned won her the women's tag team tournament, but it did not knock out Rosa. Rosa fires back and is able to hit a tombstone pile driver out of nowhere for the 1, 2, 3. So Thunder Rosa retains the NWA Women's Championship. I will have to say, it sucks that AEW has to outsource the Women's World Champion of another company to have a viable women's division. Thunder Rosa is good. I wish the match, like I said, I wish the match could have went another 5 minutes. I mean, they had a 60-minute time limit, and it's like they only used maybe 15 of it. Give these women another 10 minutes. Like, we really didn't need to have the whole MJF in action. That could have been left off the card. Would have given them another 2 minutes, especially the promo after. But yeah, post-match then, Diamante comes in, attacks Thunder Rosa from behind, kicking her out of the ring. Evilise then takes the Women's World title, holds it up. Shida jumps in the ring, kicks Evilise, and throws Diamante into her partner, both spilling to the floor. Shida then gathers up the Women's title, puts it on Thunder Rosa's shoulder, and then Shida heads to the back. I just have a feeling that Shida and Thunder Rosa are not done yet. I think that would be great if we can get another match. Maybe this time for the NWA Women's Championship. Of course, Thunder Rosa would win that. And then, I don't know what you would do for a rubber match, because I don't think you're going to do champion versus champion, both titles on the line, with one half to win. Which would be very interesting to see if the NWA or AEW would want to have their champion lose their title to somebody else. Unless, I just don't know. That would be interesting to see what happens. I wouldn't mind it. Especially if you keep Thunder Rosa around, because AEW's women's division needs Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa didn't need the AEW, but other than the fact that she probably wants to work a couple matches a year. But the AEW needs Thunder Rosa. Just saying that right now. Last week, Miro was via Kip Sabian's best friend, and at the gym, Miro is lifting weights. It looked like he was lifting about maybe 500-600. I don't know. I'm not the weight guy here, but it looks like he's lifting a lot. Sabian says once they get into the ring, they're going to be unstoppable. Miro hops up, and he wants to get in the ring and destroy anybody. Sabian says they have a little thing to do before that. Miro says he's the best man and will throw the best bachelor party ever. Kip Sabian is excited about that. I really don't care. And once this wedding stuff's over with and we can get past all that bullshit, I can't wait to see what Miro does in the ring. The dude looks jacked. Like, he is ready to go out there. He looks like he's in the best shape of his career. I'm just going to say that right now. Jake Roberts and Lance Archer head out to the ring. Archer grabs a guy from ringside. It was one of the masked men. I can't remember what his name is. Beats the hell out of him. Roberts gets in the back and says, that is a ring introduction. Brings up the fact that next week it's going to be Jon Moxley and Lance Archer on opposite ends of the ring in a 6-man tag team match, and they need partners. So he says he'd lay a deal. He'd rather lay a deal with the devil, maybe a Tasmanian devil. Calls out Taz. Taz heads to the ring. Says he'll have Brian Cage and Ricky Starks team up with Archer as long as Cage gets the first title shot after Archer destroys Jon Moxley. Archer says when he puts that son of a bitch down, AEW is going to have a killer champion, and then says he doesn't care about Eddie Kingston complaining about the Casino Battle Royal. He and Cage will go Godzilla all over Daly's place, and then Moxley's music hits. But can I say something first? I can't be the only one who thinks that AEW has money, major money on the table for Lance Archer versus Brian Cage. That is going to be a big money match. I don't know if it's going to be at Full Gear, at Revolution. That is a match that anybody should be happy to see come to fruition. That is going to be one hell of a match whenever they do it. Moxley goes to talk, but all of a sudden behind him we see a guy with a hood on and a mask attack him, and then it turns out to be Ricky Starks. Him and Brian Cage beat the hell out of him. Brian Cage throws him into a wooden box that just explodes on him, when all of a sudden we see coming up the side with a chair the recently signed Will Hobbs. Will Hobbs takes the chair, smacks at them, they run away. He introduces Will Hobbs. He called him, I think, Oakland's most violent or something. And the full power Will Hobbs. Like, dude, I'm so excited to see Will Hobbs get this push. He has been one of those guys on Dark who, of course, has been taking losses. Actually, Ricky Starks beat him right before Ricky Starks officially joined Team Taz. So, yeah, should be interesting to see what happens. And Moxley says, you know what? We need a third partner. So I'm going to call on your favorite wrestler, Taz, Darby Allin. Get your ass to Jacksonville next week. We have a tag team match. So, that is going to be on next week's show. Jon Moxley, Will Hobbs, and Darby Allin versus Lance Archer, Brian Cage, and Ricky Starks. Brody Lee will be challenged by Orange Cassidy for the TNT Championship. I'm going to say this again. They're using Orange Cassidy too much. You can't just continue to use Orange Cassidy and him being special. The whole deal about Orange Cassidy is that he is a special talent that you're only going to use very little. And here he's having a match for the TNT Championship. Now, I don't know why they're giving this match. I don't know who wants to see Orange Cassidy versus Brody Lee, because I really don't want to see it, but that's just me. But they're giving us that match, and I don't think anyone should really care. But yeah, it's just me. Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa will take on Ivelisse and Diamante. I kind of saw this match coming because of what happened earlier in the show. And Chris Jericho will appear live. That's only 3 matches. So I'm quite sure we're going to get more matches as the week goes on. But it's great to see what we have going on so far. Moxley, Hobbs, and Darby Allin will take on Lance Archer and Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. Will definitely be the main event and should be one hell of a match. My only gripe with it is the fact that we don't need a preview for Jon Moxley versus Lance Archer. If I'm going to go do that, I'll go watch the match from Wrestle Kingdom earlier this year in January. Back when we had no COVID-19, or COVID-19 wasn't as bad as it is now. And we actually had a live crowd. I'll go watch that match because that was batshit crazy. And if they can't live up to that match, then AEW is doing something wrong. But then we get Best Friends versus Santana Ortiz parking lot fight. So Santana Ortiz show up in the parking lot with their faces painted. The teams are surrounded by a bunch of cars and people. The two teams pair off and start battling, throw each other into cars. Taylor launches Santana into the side mirror. Trent tells Ortiz on the engine, puts Ortiz on the engine and slams the hood down on him a bunch. Taylor then climbs up in the hood and hits a cannonball senton off the hood. So they have a huge Pier 6 brawl. Trent's back in all bloodies up after hitting a double powerbomb into the windshield. Ouch. Taylor gets sent into the trash can. Ortiz smacks Trent with a piece of wood. Santana tells Taylor, this is the biggest mistake you've made in your fucking life. He swings away at Taylor. Santana brings out the lead pipe and smacks it on the ground. Suddenly, the truck pops open and out comes Orange Cassidy. Orange punch with the steel chair wrapped around his fist to Santana. Taylor, with a power driver on the hood, plants Ortiz, then the sheet of wood into a truck bed cover 1, 2, 3. So the Best Friends win with the help of Orange Cassidy. Post-match, though, this was pretty funny. Cassidy helps the guys over to Sue's van, and the group gets in. She goes to drive off with the winners, stops for a second, flips off Santana Ortiz with the middle finger, with the bird, and then drives off, and the show comes to a close. What a brutal match, and I hope that everything is good for those guys. But that was your AEW on TNT review. It was one hell of a match, one hell of a show. AEW just firing on all cylinders. Did everything hit? No, there was a couple things here and there. Like I said, I think the Women's Championship match